Hey everybody, Jake here from Bearded Gear, and I'm going to do a disassembly and reassembly today on the Avant because this is my new knife. If you're unfamiliar with the Luft Concepts Avant, this is a knife that I co-designed with my buddy Ryan. I've done the unboxing already. I'll be doing a first impressions soon. I carried this and played with it all day yesterday, as I'm sure you can imagine. It is going to live in my pocket full time for the foreseeable future because this is my knife in more ways than one. But yeah, I haven't disassembled it yet, and I figured I would. The pivot did start to walk just a tiny bit yesterday, and it's come a little bit off center, so I need to adjust that anyways, and I want to see all the internals. Reassembly produced this knife for us. This is a working prototype, and really there's not going to be much that is even potential for us to change for full production. We may tweak some very, very minor things, but we're both really happy with how this looks right now. So, in taking this apart, it'll probably also serve as somewhat of a reference as these become a production knife that people are getting their hands on if they want to see the internals and all that. So, it's a titanium liner lock, and should be fairly simple to take apart. We had Reassembly use only T8 hardware throughout. The pivot is captive on the show side and spinning on the lock side, so it should be fairly simple to disassemble from the pivot, and all the hardware, everything is T8s. So I've got my Brian Brown bit driver on the table. If I end up needing another T8, I've got this kind of cup of stuff I keep on my desk. There's a T8 in there. I've got KPL in there and some blue Loctite. I'll probably put a dab of blue Loctite on the pivot. I also have this package that just got here a day or two ago from River's Edge Cutlery, and I haven't opened yet. Just some kind of, see how well that cut? Ridiculous. Just got a bunch of stuff in here to try out. Forgot that I even got that. But the thing I most wanted to check out was in here. This is Gunny Glide Gunny Juice. It's essentially pivot lube or knife lube, bearing lube, whatever you want to call it. Works for washers, bearings, whatever. It's specific to knives. So it's not called knife pivot lube. That's the brand of the other lube, but this is similar. It looks like some of it kind of eked out in there, which is funny. That's going to be juicy to get out, but I want to try using some of this lube because it's new and I've been hearing really good things from a lot of people who've been trying it out. What is this? I don't remember. Yeah, so this is like a bit driver thing. This is the Meritac 1x4 Technician's Pocket Tool. So basically this is an on-the-fly bit driver, and it's got little Phillips head guys in here ready to go, and then it looks like back here, yeah, there's a flathead one. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to start keeping this in my fanny pack, probably just with these bits in it, but then I've also got some Torx bits that'll fit in this, and I like having Torx bit driver in my fanny pack because that goes almost everywhere with me. So that's just a cool, it's like literally $5. What is in this? Don't remember everything that I ordered because it was just kind of some odds and ends. Let's see if I can get through here in a way that's at all safe. There we go. Oh, that's right, EDCI. So this is basically a rust prevention formula. Anyway, I didn't mean for this to be an unboxing. I just needed this Gunny Juice that I hadn't unboxed yet. So we've got Gunny Glide here that I'll use when it comes time. Got my bit driver, got some blue Loctite. I'll just chuck that over here. That's kind of the stuff. I guess I usually use KPL, but usually when I'm doing a disassembly and a reassembly, these are the things I'm going to use anyways. So let's go ahead and start getting this bad boy apart. Wire clip obviously held in by just one screw back here. Is that all the way out? It should be. There we go. Wire clip and screw. Nice and easy. Now we've got a couple of body screws going into the backspacer and then a pivot screw. That's all there is. You can see already from yesterday how much I played with this. The micarta was much lighter when I started out. It's taken the oils from my hands quite a bit. Look at that difference under the clip where my fingers weren't touching it. Alright, let's just do this here on the mat. This mat, by the way, because I'm sure people are going to ask, is from my buddy Chris, Renegade EDC, Renegade Provisions Co. He makes these leather mats and can customize them for people with his laser. So he did this topographical pattern and then my logo here, and I freaking love this mat. I think it looks great. He did an awesome job on it, and he makes some really rad designs. He does quite a few of them, and they look really cool. So come on, there we go. Give that a spin, give that a spin. All these T8 hardware feel really nice to me. I like them. There we go. So the backspacer's ready to come out too, it feels like. What was that hinging on back there? Oh, it's set in with a pin. That's nice. Okay. I should know this as it's a knife I designed, but these little details, honestly, to me, of how it gets put together, were much more like necessary but not exciting. We had to make it work, but the design of the knife was more exciting to me in general, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like the lines and... Alright, let's get this show side off. Perfect. So, here's our backspacer. Here is our lock side. You can see we had lasered on here Avant prototype M390. On the production knives, we're planning on still putting the information that gets lasered on the knife, other than the logo, which will be on the flipper tab. All of the like stuff, the numbering, the steel marking, that'll all be here inside on the lock bar, as you can see right there. So pretty cool. We've got this pin, backspacer. Let's see how easily this comes out of the liner. Or the liner comes out of the scale, rather, I should say. It's a nice snug fit, which is a good thing. Come on. It's very snug. Might need to get something plastic and push under there. Let's come back to that. Alright. So here we have, as you can see, the bearings. I'm going to remember open side goes toward the blade because the bearings have a closed side and kind of an open side. You can see there and there. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and full disassembly. We're going to take everything apart. I'm going to wipe everything down. You can see we've also got a detent ramp. The detent track is already forming really well. The knife had a little more grit to it right out of the box than it did just before taking it apart. Now it's already been breaking in. So that's something you can expect on a bearing knife with a ceramic detent. There's a break-in. So you can expect that if you order one of these as well. We've got our stop pin, which you can see right there. And yeah, bearings on this side as well, with a little steel washer to protect the titanium. Alright. This washer's seems to be stuck in there. It's probably just lube holding it together. Alright, so let's see. Pivot, push through. So yeah, it's actually captive on the spinning side. You can see there's a flat there. Alright. Let's see if this liner wants to come out. I don't want to be too rough on the micarta, but I do want to get this sucker out of here. Let's try from the back here. Oh. Need a third hand. So close. Oops. There we go. Yeah, that's a really tight fit. You can see how nested that titanium is. It sits flush with the micarta, so the depth that it sits in there is the same as the thickness of this. Alright, that's really cool to look at. So there's my liner. Let's get that other side out. right, so here are all of our components, right? We've got a ceramic detent there to go with that detent hole, track, and ramp. This side, much more simple, just sets the bearing in. Each of our scales, you can see they're machined really well. I like these a lot. The scales are also crazy light without those liners in, and even the liners themselves are not very heavy. I still need to put this knife on a scale. We'll be doing a full specs list on the site soon with weight, all the dimensions, all that stuff. But yeah, all right, so let's do this. I'm gonna put that back in here because I don't really need to worry about that. Kind of want to actually pause this and take a picture of it disassembled in a fun way. So I'm going to pause this real quick, take a cool like blown apart picture, and then I'll resume for the reassembly. So give me 1 minute. All right, and we're back. So I got everything laid out in a way that looked decent, I think. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I wipe everything down. That could be dirty. This is just a piece of my deerskin chamois that I use for sharpening and cleaning stuff in general. Just gonna make sure I wipe down all of the moving parts, all the contact points, and make sure that everything is all put together in the best way possible. That way I can have the best action possible. All right, so those, not very much came off of those. Let's get the bearings cleaned out. All right. So I'm going to be putting fresh lube on these. I might as well make sure that they're dry at the moment. Clip's not going to need to be if there's any of the hardware. If I noticed any of the hardware was dirty or anything, I guess I might clean it, but looked fine to me. Get the pivot all cleaned up. There was definitely some stuff on there, so we'll get that nice and sorted out. Pivot looks good now. May as well clean these pins off. Oop. Try not to drop them when you're doing this. All right, get that one. This is the stop pin. That one seemed even dirtier. All right, backspacer seems fine. Now on the blade, there's definitely some stuff in around the pivot where it's kind of been breaking in. So let's get that nice and cleaned up. Give the ramp and the stop, or the detent ball track, a little wipe. It looks pretty good in this channel where the stop pin rides, but just to be extra particular, I go ahead and give that a little wipe. Now I probably wouldn't want to like get in so many nooks and crannies and stuff if I was using like delicate paper towels, because then you might actually get fluff in there. I've seen that happen before, but with this it holds together really well, so nice to just get everything super cleaned up, looking spiffy. Alright, inside the actual kind of pivot hole, go ahead and just give that a little bit of a pull through and a spin. A little bit came out of there, so now that should be nice and clean. I'll give these a wipe just for good measure, but with the washers sitting on there, that shouldn't really play a part anyways. Alright, so I can see track wearing on, frankly, each side of these. I don't know whether it matters what direction those go into. I guess we'll find out, but they've each got a track on that side, so I'm gonna call that good. We're gonna go ahead and set these back into their micarta homes. Pop that back onto there. This one. Nice. Yeah, those are nested so snug, which is a good thing. Alright, so there's that and that. let's go ahead and I think I'm going to start by assembling the lock side. Right, the lock side, the side that had, yeah, this is the one that had the pivot where the tool goes in. This one, that's the clip screw. And then, you know what, I'll start from the non-lock side, I guess. No, I like starting from, the problem is I can't get the pivot in that way. Yeah, we'll start here. We're gonna do the non-locking side first. And I'm gonna try to have this D-shaped pivot lined up roughly to where it's gonna need to be for that side to go on. Let's go ahead and take this littler pin, goes back here, and we hook that right onto there. I'm gonna actually go ahead and start putting these screws in here. I'm not gonna tighten down a vicious amount. I'm just gonna get it so that the back spacer is gonna be held in place. That way, as I'm assembling, that stays right where it is. Again, I want to keep a little bit of play in it just in case I need it until I'm ready to tighten everything down. Oh, my washer popped out. There we go. Washer is back on there. So let's get a little bit of this gunny glide out. That is very lubey in there. Yuck. Use this towel over here to just wipe it down a little bit so that my hands aren't the slipperiest thing in the world moving forward. Bottle works just like a KPL bottle. Got a nice little kind of needle applicator there. Let's put just, I kind of like to do like a four corners thing. That smells really good. I like that. All right. So keep that there for a minute. Now, what way did I say these went? It was open side toward the blade, I think. Yeah, because the closed side was off the blade. Perfect. Okay. So open side toward the blade. Great. Now I'm gonna put a tiny bit of KPL in, or sorry, of Gunny Glide in this side as well. Just have everything running smooth. I'm not putting a lot in there, just a tiny little dab. Let's make sure we fit up real well. Good. Let's get my stop pin in here. There we go, stop pin is now pressed in. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, put a little bit of lube down here for this side of that bearing. That should work itself around the actual pivot itself as well. I'm gonna do just like that. Plop a little more lube over here. There we go. Okay, that should be it on there. Let's see how this goes. Is that washer gonna stay on there? Good. The washer wanted to come off, that's all right. Sweet. That was ideal, that just worked like that. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the locked open position. I can see that it looks like, yes, okay, yeah, I got that flat spot lined up. That was lucky. The D-shaped pivot, the flat spot has to be right at the bottom in order for this to go on like it did, so that is good. I'm gonna go ahead and get the pivot screw just started. I'm gonna have everything loose at first, then I'm gonna tighten everything down. I like to go in kind of a progression from the bottommost screw up to the pivot. Just kind of tightening my way up the knife as I get to actual tightness. So let's do that. Get these set on here and start to get them screwed in. Good. Good. I love it when knives just line up easily, and the fact that mine does makes me happy. All right, so let's go bottommost screw. Tightening down firmly, but I don't know, it's just kind of to my own preferred tightness, I guess. I don't have like a torque measurement of what you're supposed to do on a knife. I've just kind of learned to feel it out over time. So those are snug, and I'm confident that those are gonna stay where they are. I am actually real quick going to back this out now that I just remembered, and I'm gonna put a dab, just the tiniest dab of Loctite onto this screw. This Loctite bottle always freaks me out because it's leaky at the top. Alright, let me just, I don't want to put that there. Oop. I'm literally just going to kind of use what's on this bottle. Yeah, that's a nasty bottle of Loctite. Alright, get that back on there. One thing to always watch out for too, when you're putting lube on a knife, like I did internally, is to be very careful to not get it inside the pivot threads. That was what was done on my Holt haptic by someone that had disassembled it, the first one that I had, and that was really unfun to chase lube out of the threads of the pivot. It was constantly walking out because of it. Alright, so that's not all the way tight certainly yet. What I'm gonna do is close the knife and tighten it to center, see how we feel. It's not really going centered as I do that, is it? That's too tight. Oops. Wrong way. Might have to chase this centering a little bit, won't I? Action feels good. I can hear the detent ball trying to grind on that fresh surface now. I may even put a little KPL heavy on it. Feels a hair too tight. Let's check for play. No play. We're good there. It feels less like it's tight and more like the detent ball needs a little lube. All right, I'm gonna chase centering a little bit, but we're gonna call it good for the sake of a disassembly and reassembly. I'll probably do another video sometime soon on how to make sure that a knife is centered. For me, it's just kind of a give and take process. There's probably people who are better at that than I am, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like this has already gone on quite long for just this disassembly and reassembly, and not everyone's gonna have to chase a little centering. So I'm gonna put the clip back on here. We're gonna call it good, and then I'll stay tuned another time for a how to center your knife video. There are some already existing great videos out there, but this one was a hair off center, more than a hair. It was a little off center before I disassembled it, and it's kind of about in the same spot right now. So I'm gonna see if I can't chase that out of it a little bit. Time will tell. Anyway, the knife is back together. It is functioning, and I'm gonna go ahead and tinker with it some more, but that's how it comes apart, goes together. Those are the parts inside of it, and there you have it. Thanks for checking it out, guys. We'll see you on the next one.